As I've said, Abantu Voices is a platform that is unapologetically amplifying the voices that you wouldn't really hear in the mainstream in Hong Kong. I mean, look at this room. There's so many of us that look like me, but there's so many of us that don't look like me. And this really is the beauty of Hong Kong. And I think that the more conversations that we have with each other, we're able to better understand each other. And when we understand each other, we then often find ourselves not having these conflicts and these stereotypes, negative stereotypes that are often just banded around. But with that said, I want to welcome everybody and every single person that is here. I really hope that we have beautiful conversations today. I usually have an intro that I write down, and it's usually funny, but sometimes it's usually upsetting, depending on what topic we're talking about. But, you know, Abantu Voices, as I said, is really about having unfiltered voices, real conversations, and fresh perspectives, right? Tonight, we are diving into matters of the heart. Love, uthando, lufuno, upendo, lerato. What's love in your language? What's love in your language? Amor. And yours, Jessica? What's love in your language? Lerato. Well, whatever you call it, we're talking about it tonight, on all forms of love, right? Yeah, sure, Hong Kong is not exactly the city of love. I get it. But you see, I know, and guess what? Our two couples found love here too. But let's also be fair. Like, people don't come to Hong Kong to find love, right? But if there ever was a city of love, no offense to Paris, we would all, I guess, throw away our dating apps and go and flock there and hope for the best. Look, I'm not expert, but I'm sure that it's not that simple. I do know that love means different things to different people at different times. So in the lead up to tonight's conversation, I went around and asked various people about what love means to them. And words like connection, happiness, success, learning, sacrifice, chaotic, messy, unconditional, and love being freely given often came up. There is so much that has been said and has been written and has been sung about love. But what really resonated with me was this quote by a Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu. He reminds us that being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Let that sink in for a bit, right? I mean, for me, when I heard these simple but powerful words, they meant being loved empowers you, while loving someone empowers you to be brave. How beautiful is that? And together, you can do anything. You can find that sweet spot of partnership and of friendship within the love that you share. And I think tonight our guests have found that sweet spot. Karen and Josè, I swear, look, I don't think there's any mountain high enough and there's no river wide enough to keep these two apart on the real. I mean, they've been married for 26 years. But yeah, sure, it sounds sweet and all, but really, these two are fitness goals. They will simply run across that mountain and swim across that river without even breaking a sweat. Karen and Josè found a sweet spot and in their shared love of wellness and fitness and travel and food and dancing and adventure. And you want to hear more about the story, right? Grace and Tunde, unfortunately, could not be with us tonight due to last-minute travel arrangements. But for Jane and Akin, what began really as a let's see where this goes love story has blossomed into a beautiful novel. It's a novel filled with chapters of friendship, commitment, laughter, music, poetry, activism, and a deep care for each other and the community. So please stay tuned, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss the beautiful story, beautiful, powerful story of Jane and Akin. But ladies and gentlemen, to kickstart off our first conversation on Abantu Voices for 2026, please welcome Karen and Josè. Thank you so much, Karen and Jose. And I meant that, right? I mean, I literally think that you guys would run, you know, past any mountain that's formed against you and swim across any river as well. Thank you so much. I must tell you, the first time that I saw you, Karen, was on social media. And I see this lady who's doing a hula hoop on her 60th birthday. And I'm like, what is this? And from that day, I think my curiosity was sparked, right? First of all, what you did was redefine what 60 should look like. But also, just your energy and your ever smiling nature was just so beautiful. And I love that. Is the person sitting next to you your smile keeper?
Absolutely. If you see that my latest post, the song is I Blame You. And I think the song starts out with, if you're wondering why I'm smiling like a fool, I blame you because it keeps me happy. So, yes.
We're not even 2 minutes in, man. But on the real, I think that it's so beautiful how you show you exude love and happiness, you know. And of course, it's not always going to be roses and beautiful and perfect. Nothing is. But I do want to understand something about your smile keeper here. How important is it that you find someone that not only just makes you smile, but also is a companion in the good and the bad?
Yeah. Well, actually, sometimes you find that when you're not even looking for it because
Is the mic on? I just feel like it's.
yeah.
You can hear it?
Yeah, and the guy in the back so he can hear.
Okay, perfect.
So, so actually, sometimes you're not even looking for love. When I came to Hong Kong, I wasn't looking to get into any relationship or anything. I came for work, and Jose and I ended up meeting at work. And eventually, as we started to go out and things and find out all the things we had in common, which led to where we are now. But yeah, there was lots of hiccups and different things along the way. From the fact that we're from different races and we've never dated outside our own race and all those things. So lots of other things got in the way, but we stuck with it because we knew what we both wanted. And we were very clear with each other from the very, very beginning of what we would do, what we wouldn't do, what we wanted and we didn't want. And I think that's very important in any relationship from the start to take you through to 26 years later.
26 years. I mean, it's so beautiful. How you still keep the smile going, Jose. So well done to you. But I'm pretty sure that Karen touches on um, some of the hurdles that maybe you're experiencing, and we'll get into that. But when you got to Hong Kong, you obviously also were not looking for love.
I was looking for love, yes.
Oh.
Can you imagine if she's not looking, if I wasn't looking, we would have been here.
That's true.
Tell us more.
Let's get that clear, right? Yeah, I was looking for love,
And I wasn't looking to date.
Yeah, but you were very persistent, and in a way that somebody would have thought, dude, you're delusional. One of the things that made you a bit delusional was the fact that Karen had 2 kids, and she obviously had her doors closed. She was quite clear that, look, I'm not here to get with someone, but you still pushed on. What is it that kept you going?
well, I mean, clearly I was attracted to her, right? And just, she gave me a chance to go out on a date and just getting to know her slowly, little by little. And I realized that, yeah, I wanted somebody like Karen to be by my side and raise my kids as well. So I wanted to have children, and I could not find any more mature, loving woman than Karen. I said, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want.
How did love look like for you, Jose, when you were growing up? What did love look like for you?
So for me, it was manifested in the example of my parents. So my mom and dad, they were married for 48 years before my dad passed away, and this is in a small town in Mexico. So from from, as far as I can remember, they were always there for each other, right? Looking after each other, looking after the family, and to me, that was the image of what love was: supporting each other unconditionally, never keeping score, and I say, that's what I want, So that was I guess that example is what carried me through.
And you saw that in Karen, but she said, nah, no.
She was not easy, yeah,
No.
hard to get.
Well, that's because growing up for me, seeing love was the exact opposite of what he saw. You know, there was trauma, there was, men not respecting women, there was domestic violence and all the opposites of what he saw. And I had also just gotten out of a really bad relationship myself. So therefore, my doors were completely closed and I just wanted nothing to do with dating. My goal was to continue working, take care of myself, take care of my children, and be done with it. But as you said, as they continued to persist and eventually we moved on.
Karen, you mentioned that Jose did something that, made you see that this guy is very different. But also it changed the dynamics in terms of your family when he spoke with the girls. Just take us through, how old were the girls at the time and what was that situation like?
So when I came to Hong Kong, I came here for work and I came as a single mom with two daughters. They were 16 and 9 years old at the time. And many people thought I was crazy for moving all the way across the world by myself for work with two kids. But I knew they'd be in a good school. My company was going to be paying for their school and all these kind of things. So I promised myself I would not date until at least both my daughters were off to college because we'd been in a horrible relationship with their father before I left the US. And so my eldest daughter, she, like most teenagers, did not want me to date. And she was very upset about it. So I said to Jose, I'm sorry, I can't see you until she goes off to college because I'm just not going to have her go through any more trauma, so to speak, or anything like that. And so for a couple of days, he let it sink in. And then he says, okay, well, I won't force them, but may I ask to take them out to dinner? If they want to go, can you let them go? I said, only if they want to go. I will not make them go. So he asked them if he could take them out to dinner, and they went to Dan Ryan's at Pacific Place. Those of you that have been around a while know the place. So, and I let them go with him because they used to call him Mr. Jose. All my kids were trained to call all adults Mr. and Mrs. just as a respectful thing, kind of a Southern U.S. thing. So Jose took them out to dinner, and they were at dinner probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so, and then he brought them back home. And from that day forward to this day, not only did they say they're happy with me dating him, but they also came back calling him dad. And from that day to this day, they still call him dad. And also from that day to this day, I don't know exactly what they talked about because they never shared it. So, but he said it was something along the lines of, I wouldn't hurt your mom, I wouldn't hit her, and all these kind of things. And that's the gist of it that I know, but that's pretty much how that came about.
It's so beautiful, and I think you early on in your guys' union, you already knew that you had to convince Karen that there is an alternative love and not this love that she was accustomed to. She mentioned that there was abuse not only from her, her parents, but also from her own relationships. What sort of conversations did you had to navigate to make sure that you get to this level where she truly trusts that you are the Jose that is not going to break her heart and not going to break her girls' hearts?
Well, I think in the beginning I had to just get Karen to understand that I was not here. I was not gonna here to harm her, and also to allow me to take care of her because obviously she had been independent for a long time, and she continues to be independent. But I say, let me do something for you, and I'm one who thinks that when you love someone, you do it unconditionally, and you don't, you support it, but you don't keep score. I mentioned that earlier, right? I said when I want to do things for you or for the kids, it's not because I want to, get brownie points and I expect something in return. This is because I want that to be my gift to you. So just allow me to do that. And that's really what I talk to the girls about. Say, I love your mom, and I know that it's a package deal. If I want to get into a relationship with your mom, I know that you guys are part of that relationship, and I'm gonna respect her and yourselves for as long as you guys allow me to. Right?
While we're on this, Karen, I think it's important that we have this conversation a bit more in depth around what love shouldn't look like. We all have our own stories in this room, and we may be suffering in silence. Tell us what should love not look like?
Well, first of all, love should not hurt, and love should not hit you, and love should not be. It should be unconditional. So the situation that I was in, the guy constantly said, "I love you," but it was to the point that he was so jealous that everything, anything was, are you seeing this guy, or why is he looking at you this way, or why are you late? Why are you coming home 5 minutes late from work, and this kind of thing. And then, when you're young sometimes, and sometimes when you're in love, you think, oh, he really cares about me. But then you learn later that that is not what love looks like. Love should not be questioning you every second when you're late, or hitting you, or trying to keep you away from family and friends and those kind of things. And especially if you don't have family nearby, sometimes they take advantage of that. I don't have any sisters and brothers, and he knew that. And I think he took advantage of me not having family, so to speak. So therefore, I thought he was the person that loved me and wanted family. So it felt like he was my family at the time. But then when I learned that he's really actually hurting me, I had to find a way to get myself out of that situation. So that is what love does not look like.
You had to do a lot of unlearning, because
Sure.
we often learn, right? You learn to be together, you learn to love each other, but we also have to do a lot of unlearning, where you realize that not every man that you're going to meet is like this guy.
Well, oftentimes, Jose would have to say to me, Karen, I'm not Jeff. And then I was so used to doing everything for myself and on my own. And I got married when I was 32, Jose and I got married. So, everything, little things like, I go to the grocery store, come back, and I bring my own groceries up. And he'd say, well, why didn't you call me down to come downstairs to get the groceries? Or, I'll say, well, I can do it myself. He's like, I can help you. I can do it. So yeah, I had to unlearn that I don't have to do everything myself or be so independent, because you can be independent and
Repeat
allow
for the
help.
people in the back,
Yeah.
please.
And also, to be honest, it's sort of a black woman thing too. We're so used to doing for ourselves, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of that's just who we are, or the stock we come from. And we just are used to doing it ourselves. I mean, I even had to learn when I first got married. I started planning a trip like, oh, I think I'm going to go to Phuket for the weekend. And then I had to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm married. I got to, not check with him, but like, do you want to go to Phuket? Or, like, so yes, those are the kind of things you do have to learn to teach yourself again, that you have to, like, it's a partnership, not just you.
Right. I want to get into. It's funny. I have a song now in my head, but it talks about age being nothing but a number. Um, Tell us about how you have navigated the age issue. You've got 10 years in between you. A lot of people thought this was a terrible idea, but you're still here. Tell us about how you've navigated this hurdle in your relationship, having 10 years in between you. And by the way, who's 10 years older here? Like, I'm interested to know. Like, who's older? Who's the one who's 10 years younger? Let's get some hands. Okay, Jessica. I'm looking at you, girl. Who's 10 years older here?
I was just telling her that she's definitely younger.
Oh, yes. Not.
So that was, there was a few reasons I didn't want to date Jose. I didn't want to go. Wasn't looking for dating. I was here for work, and then also on top of that, I kept saying he's 10 years younger than me. That's much too young. He's going to be immature, and I'm already raising two daughters by myself. I don't need to have to be raising another person, and so on. But then after going out on a couple of dates with him and seeing that he was actually very mature for his age, I said, well, okay, I'm not gonna, my girlfriend who worked with me in a different department in the U.S. Consulate, she said, Karen, you are gonna miss your blessing talking about he's 10 years younger than you. Give the guy a try. And she too, so she said, I will come over and look. I didn't have a helper because my kids were 9 and 16. They were able to take care of themselves when I was at work. So she says, I will come over and look after your kids if you just go on one date with the guy. He likes to dance, you like to dance. He likes music, you like music. He's very mature and so on. I said, okay. So we went on a date, and after we went on a date, there was more dates. And I was like, yeah, this guy is very, very mature. So we didn't let the 10 yeah, so we didn't let the 10-year gap stop us.
That's amazing. You've had three girls after.
We have four total.
Okay, so you've had two girls, and then you have four girls in total. What is it that you intentionally told them about love and what they should look out for and what they should look forward to when they pursue their own individual relationships?
Well, of course, for the two older ones, it was a little easier to explain to them because I think they know what love shouldn't look like, especially my 16-year-old. By the way, those two are currently married and they're in really good relationships.
Breaking generational curses.
So they knew what love should not look like. For the two younger ones, I have my baby daughter who's 26, 27, 26. She's getting married in October of this year. And the guy that she's marrying is very much like her father. Very much. It's a little scary that he's 26 years old, so much like her father. And sadly for my 27-year-old, she didn't date until she finished university and got a good job. She put education first. So her first dating was 26 years old, and she was in a relationship with a guy, and he treated her very badly. So she's no longer in that relationship. She's 2 years free from that. And she does know what love should not look like. However, I feel like she's taken it just a tad bit too seriously because we had a conversation just the other night. She says, Mom, do you know the lady that I work with? She's on her husband's health insurance. Can you imagine not having your own health insurance? But this is because of the relationship she had. They weren't married or anything, and they had their own separate everything. But she's a bit jaded now because she knows what love should not look like. And now she constantly says to me, I really hope that when I meet someone that he's a lot like, they call him Poppy, like Poppy and my two older daughters' husband and Jasmine's fiance. So she knows what love should and shouldn't look like. And sometimes you can kind of have the conversation and tell them, but for that particular daughter, she really needed to learn for herself. And now she really has maybe a little bit too clear idea of what love should not look like. Yeah.
No, but it's great that you. I mean, when you have kids, I just have one, but I can imagine when you have kids, they will have to find their own way in some way or another, right? You can always show them, but they also need to learn in their own way. But I'm just happy that there is a break in how you have, I guess, changed and how Josè has contributed to you and how you've changed the way you view love. And because of that break, your girls get to start afresh, anew. And that's so important because I think about generational, I'm going to call it curses, but when things happen over and over, generational cycles, they happen over and over and over again, and you ask yourself, but why am I choosing the same person all the time? Like the same person that my mom chose and the one that before. But nonetheless, let's maybe loosen up a bit. Thank you so much for, by the way, taking us through this journey with you. It's obviously information that you don't carry around in your forehead. But thank you so much for taking us in. I think we have so many things that we can learn from that. But let's loosen up a bit, if we can. Tell us about that moment at McDonald's. So the reason why I know so much about my two lovely guests is because I make sure that I hang out with them before, so that we can have a better conversation. But you mentioned that at McDonald's at one point you sat down and you wrote your life goals on
the back of we'd been invited to a baby shower for one of my colleagues, and he'd given us an invitation, and that night we went out. I happened to have it with me. So we're sitting, and Josè wanted to talk about potentially proposing. But in talking about that, he's like, but he was also going to go away on a work assignment for 18 months or so, and I was going to still be here on my own assignment. So he wanted to talk about some of the things we should talk about before he proposes. So we sat down and we took out the little invitation card because it's all we had. And we were at McDonald's in Pacific Place again when it had a food court, if you remember back then. We've lived here 29 years, so it's been a long time. So in that conversation, one of the first things he says to me is, well, I would like to have 3 kids. I said, what? 3 kids? because I'm not even having any more kids. That was my plan. So after talking about it, I said, if we could have 2 more children before my 35th birthday, we'll give it a try. But I'm not having children after age 35. So
I was doing the math in my head. Wait, before age 35, okay, we got to get out of here.
yes. So I think that's one of the things that's very important. We talked about that. We talked about whether we wanted to continue to stay here or if we were going to take other assignments in other countries and that kind of thing while we were working. And one of the main things we talked about, if we should have these children that, you know, you're going to be here, you're going to help me again. Remember, I'm raising 2 kids by myself. So I'm like, I would be really crazy to have another baby, you know, and especially knowing he's going on an 18-month assignment. So I just said to myself, you know, if he never comes back here, I am raising 3 kids on my own. If I don't learn after that, then shame on me, right? So, but not only did he come back, not only did he help me to raise those kids, he missed the birth of the 3rd one because by the time he got back, she was 4 days old because he was in a contract with work and couldn't get back until that time. So I took a taxi to Matilda Hospital and had her by myself. as Black women, as we do, right? But
To be fair, I don't think I would have been much help.
But just a quick story to really make you laugh. So I had already gotten the phone number, put it on the refrigerator, so if I got into labor, I could call. So, and make sure they sent someone who speak English because I don't speak Cantonese. So I called and they sent the guy, and when I got in the car, so I have a little pain. I didn't scream or anything. I would just go, and the taxi driver would go, he was so nervous all the time. And driving from Stanley up to Matilda, you know it's a curve, and he would go, and we got there, and he put the car in park, and he ran inside the hospital, and they came out with a wheelchair, and he was shaking. And I really wish I could know or find that guy because they owe some money. So he did make it here for the birth of the 4th one. And I have to say, he was there for those kids, and he took care of all 4 of them all the time, paid for all their college and everything. And I just, you know what, they say sometimes you have to go through something to get to something, and then when you get it, you know how to appreciate it. And I would say going through that horrible relationship and so on brought me to where I can truly appreciate the one that I have now.
Oh man, Jose, do they still make them like you?
But it's not been just all peaches and creams. I mean, anybody who's in a relationship knows that, you know, there's up and downs, and hopefully we get a nice, you know, uphill trajectory. But I got to say that we have evolved through our 29 years together. And when the little one went to college, this is now 7 years ago, we had to really relearn our ways and get reacquainted with each other, right? Because not that our little one was loud, but once she was away from college, the house was so quiet. Yes, extremely quiet. But one thing that we decided to do no matter what is to always have at least our Friday date nights, continue to do that, and to try to continue to invest time and effort on each other. And that's, Karen was never really a runner, and now we get out, created a monster. Yeah. Come on, let's go, we gotta go hiking.
It's amazing that you mentioned that, because that was going to be my other question around what are some of the essentials that you are continuously doing to make sure that, I guess, you keep the fire burning. I specifically talk about companionship when it comes to love, because I think you need to like the person that you're with, right? And be a companion to them. What are some of your, I guess, essentials that you do, intentionally so, to make sure that 26 years doesn't feel like 26 years?
Well, I mentioned the Friday day night. That's a must. Waking up in the morning and saying good morning, no matter, you know, or how did you sleep? That's another thing too. And no matter what's going on, you know, if you're having a difficulty or always going to bed saying good night to each other, right? Whatever we are upset about can wait. And I think that's the essential.
Great. But it also helps that every morning he makes my coffee still. So when I get up, I don't have to worry about making my coffee. You know, when we walk down the street, sometimes it's the little things. He always grabs for my hand. We still hold hands 26 years later.
They really do.
Yeah. I mean, we go on trips together. I mean, we do hiking together. We go biking together. We just make sure we do things together. These are the things we couldn't do when we were raising children because we were so busy working and, taking the kids here, there, and everywhere. And finding time for us was difficult. So, yes, when the girls first, all of them were gone, it was quiet. And we were like, okay, what do we do now? But now that we found out, I've been assuring my girlfriends who are becoming empty nesters that they're like, oh, this is so hard. It gets easier, trust me.
You'll be okay.
Yes,
it'll be okay.
Have you found your sweet spot, do you think?
I don't know. I think we still have so much more to discover.
Yeah, I think we enjoy traveling and just exploring Hong Kong, just getting out and doing things together. And also being comfortable enough to say, hey, you know what? I like to go on that hard hike that you don't really enjoy. How about I do it on Saturday? And either she or I saying, yeah, go for it. And I'll figure, again, being together is great. Sometimes being comfortable saying, okay, go on and do your own thing today and be okay with that is very important. Yeah.
I love that. It's such a pleasure to speak to you, I must say. I want to open up the floor to some questions. But before I do that, I do want someone that knows you pretty well to maybe say something from the outside looking in, right? We've had a glimpse maybe of, who you are and what you're about, and we love it. But, people that have hung around you, what your love looks like or to them at least. I swear, it's not because she owns this place, but she really just does know them. Charlene.
So I actually know Karen and Jose for quite a few years, and they've always been the couple that I said, well, I'm single and available, by. Just FYI. So I say, looking at this beautiful couple, I say, if I can actually have someone like Jose that is so caring, that relationship is so solid, and every time I see the couple, obviously I've been invited to a number of their Karen's birthday, and it's just that, they complete each other. Right? I think that's important because, I said, well, can I actually look for somebody who's 10 years younger too? So they're setting the role model for me. I'm like, whoa, I have hope. So such a beautiful couple. Whenever I see them, they are just always together. I think the second relationship usually works better too in a way. So I think having seen such a beautiful couple that, like I said, you guys actually really give a lot of hope for the individuals out here. Who's single?
Thank you, Charlene.
I mean, what do you say after that? But on the real, I want to open up the floor to some questions. I think we touched on a lot of things, but I do know that there's some things that maybe we didn't touch on and would like to know a bit more. As we do on this platform, just, give us a short intro of yourself and your question. Show of hands, anybody? I see it in your eyes, Flo. You want to ask something. Yes.
So yeah, I have a question.
Hello. I'm a friend of Jane's, happy to be here. And I've met you from the tea parties.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So we all from Chungcheong, like Siberia.
What is your name?
Isabel, I'm Isabel. Hello, everyone. I'm Filipino. No, so I am recently, what do you call me, separated?
Yes.
Right. So I've been married for 12 years, but I've been separated recently. So great. Never been happier. Really?
Should we clap?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Oh my god, I have this on video. No, like I'm really happy to really witness this. I'm really happy to be here and find this love story. I'm really happy that you're here to witness this. But what my question is, what is the greatest challenge that you've had in your relationship? So I know that you've come from different relationships in the past, and now you've come together in a different stage of your life. So what was the biggest challenge in your relationship that you came through, and then how did you go about it? And obviously there are kids involved, and so I have 2 kids of my own. They're boys, not girls. But like, how did that affect them? And coming from different racial backgrounds, like anything from that came into play? Like, I want to learn more. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, I'm the oldest of 5, a Mexican family, and from Los Angeles, so their interactions with African Americans, Black people, were non-existent or often confrontational. Uh, so when I came to my mom and dad and say, I met this woman, I love her, I want to marry her, and then I started going down the list of, she's older than me by 10 years. She's Black. So, of course, she has 2 children. So I think from a position of love, my mom and dad were taken aback and said, hey, this is not going to work out. And so we had to, but we were mature enough to know what we wanted to do. But of course, for me, it was very important to give my parents' blessing. Right? Because family is very important. So we had to navigate that. And the way we did that is just by letting them get to know Karen as well. And that's how we overcame that. And I got to say, so my mom does not speak English. And when she came to visit and our kids were little, our kids, they understand Spanish, they don't speak it. But one of my daughters wrote a poem saying that the language of love is just what we do for each other. It's not English or Spanish or French. It's just the things that we do for each other, and says that her abuelita, her grandmother, was able to demonstrate her love just by spending time with her, and teaching her how to sew and teaching her how to cook. So I think we overcame that, and my kids got to see that love is not, one race or the other. It transcends all of that.
And otherwise, when we had hurdles, it was mostly about the girls. We may disagree with them wanting to do this, that, and the other thing, but we always made it a real point that we would go disagree in private. Not that they didn't see us disagree, because they did, but if it was getting very heated or where we were really at our wits' end about something, we didn't go off in front of the girls. We would make sure we would do that in our bedroom. Or I would say, make sure you speak to me about that before you answer that question, kind of thing. So those kind of hurdles, and there's a lot of those with 4 daughters, trust me. So a lot of times we just made sure that we were always on the same page in front of them. And even if we disagree with it, we'll tell them why we disagree. But if it was getting heated in any way, we'll discuss this later. And we always made sure we had dinner together every night. So that was very important for us to talk about all the different things going on. And even if we did end up still disagreeing, that we talk about it at the dinner table and say, your father thinks it's okay if you do that, but I don't, for this, that, or the other reason. So it's not like we always agree. And then sometimes we don't agree about money. Money is oftentimes a conversation, so Jose loves to save and invest and know for the future, and I'm ready to spend it now. My grandma used to say, all you promised is this day. And actually we just read this book called Die with Zero. And it's not saying spend everything, but it's saying, yes, save and invest and all those things, but also enjoy some of your money too. You don't need to die and then give it to your kids. Give them what you want them to have now, and also enjoy some. So I like to enjoy a little more than save and spend. So we have those conversations. I mean, I think most couples do, and we don't always come out on the same page about it, but we discuss it. And what's very, very important for us is no matter how mad we get or how heated we are, we don't name call. No name calling, and argue respectfully. So arguing respectfully is a big thing, because when you argue and you're using these names and things, when you're okay again, it's still going to always be in your head that you said this, that, or the other thing. So to us, that's how we handle our differences and hurdles.
Okay, anybody else? Going once. Oh, there's a hand at the back.
All right, I talk too much. Okay, hello everyone. Nice to see you. And you look very beautiful. I've heard about your husband through you. You speak about him in events when I've seen you. This is my first time seeing him, so hi, Mr. Jose.
Nice to meet you.
Your wife is proud to be your wife. Oh, my question is um, similar to this lady's, beautiful lady's question as well, is that what's the most frustrating thing that he does that you've told him over and over, but he still does it? That you sometimes need to consult with your angels before you deal with him.
Well, that's just a general rule for everything. Well, yeah. I guess that's a good one. I'm a Virgo, and most Virgos, we like things organized and very neat. So if you use it, you can use it whatever it may be, as long as you remember to put it exactly back where you got it from. If you don't put it back where you got it from, I will know you used it and it's not been put back. And I guess that's the only thing I nag him about a little bit, but mostly I don't have to say, why didn't you do that or anything? So it's a good thing.
Are you answered, ma'am? I'm answering.
Hi there. Thank you for sharing with your story with us. My name is Shari. I am currently studying love. And so I actually have two questions, but I'm going to ask one just for not to take up too much space. And maybe I'll come see you and ask the second question. But I think something that stood out to me as I was just listening, and I apologize, I was late, was breaking generational curses. And that stood out, and I took note of that. And then I was thinking to myself, one, do you believe you broke generational curses? Was that something that came to mind when you started listing out like the experiences of your daughters? And then two, did you ever thought that the experiences that you were having prior to meeting Jose was something? Did you characterize that as a curse of some sort? And if so, why? Yeah. Why? And if not, um, what do you think as you're sitting in this hot seat? Why do you think generational curse was something that came up? Is this the first time you've ever heard that? I know I'm giving you a lot of questions, but I just want to. I think what I want you to kind of let me know about is what is that piece around generational curse? Was that something that was a part of your, at the forefront of when you reflect on your experience with love, with partnership, and as well as when you reflect on your family, not only your growing family, but even your extended family, whether you have siblings. And I'm sorry if you've answered this before. Like I said, I came in late. I apologize. Thank you.
I just want to clear something. The generational curses, I said that. I remember that. I said that. So okay. I just don't want it to be pinned on Karen, but I said it. But I think you get the essence of the question. Sure.
Well, yes, I do know that I've always wanted to break the generational curses. I will say, yes, we have gone through some generational curses in my family, and I always, knew what love did not look like. I didn't really know what love looks like. So yes, I really wanted better for my daughters. I didn't want them to have to go through the things that I'd seen my mom go through. I didn't want them to have to see the things that I end up going through. See, I thought that by me staying with their father, their older girls, that if I stayed with them, I didn't want to have children by different fathers, because that was another curse I really wanted to break. And I learned that that was the worst thing I could have done for them, because it took them through so much hell that I wish I had broken that curse at that time. But of course, hindsight is 2020. So yes, I was intentionally trying to break the curse of not doing what my mom did and not having my kids see that. And I failed at that, which is okay, because nobody's perfect. And then I thought, once I got here and I'm out of that relationship now, I'm not looking for another one. And I didn't really know what love looked like, but I did share with Jose all the things that I'd gone through. and that I was independent. I had my own money, my own everything, and I will not go through this again with you or anyone else for love or for any other reason, because I learned from the last experience. So yeah, I would say I definitely set out to try to break those generational curses, and so that my children wouldn't carry on doing and having to go through the same things that I went through. The same with, like there's many curses, like where I grew up in poverty and my mom was on welfare. My goal was to not do that. I need a job and I need to be able to take care of myself and have my own. So all those kind of things, yeah, we're constantly breaking these generational curses. And that's another reason with Jose sticking with me and continuing to love me through these things, because, it gets reflected to him, even if it's not intentional, where, like I said, sometimes he would have to say, listen, Karen, I'm not Jeff. And then you have to wake up and say, you know what? He's right. He didn't do these things to me. So it's a learned thing. And yes, it's very, very, very intentional for me. And I think the way I learned is not to do and repeat those same things that I've seen happen and be repeated. Try to do better. We should do better every generation. And that's what I'm constantly trying to do and trying to create. I mean, like something like Instagram. I don't have Facebook or any of these other things. All I have is Instagram. But I do, in that Instagram post, I'm trying to always encourage people to run, encourage people to hula hoop, to keep moving, to do good things, or here's something good happening. It's all good stuff, but it's nothing made up or fake or anything like that. And it's not overly being positive all the time either, because sometimes there's hurdles and things too. But the point is trying to break some of these generational curses that we've had to deal with so long. So the answer to your question is yes, I intentionally do that all the time, and I still am. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. As I mentioned, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful story, this wonderful love story with us, taking us into confidence, into your confidence around what you felt, what you were not. It's not easy, but you did it anyway. And I really hope that it left something, it moved something in you, And thank you for sharing your situation as well. Wishing you the best. We did clap for you though. We did clap for you though. So with that, let's take a little comfort break. You can refill on your drinks, and we are going to have our second portion of Abantu Voices. And yeah, please do check us out on our social media accounts, Abantu Voices on Instagram and Facebook that Karen doesn't have. But more than anything, just try and see what we're about and grow the community. I'm glad that you're here. Stick around for the conversations and stay for the connections.
Thank you.